Part 1. Complete this text. Baby Caterpillar was tired. All summer long she had been traveling slowly through the green worlds where she lived, and feeding on the green leaf that grew near her home. Now autumn had come, and Mother Nature had given a holiday to the leaf, who put on their new dresses of red and gold and played tag with the breezes. Baby Caterpillar wanted to play too, but could not run so fast as the happy little leaf, and she grew very tired and thought she would take a nap. So she found a cozy place among the branches of the grapevine and made herself a soft and silky blanket. Then she rolled herself away within it, and then in her queer little cradle went to sleep. One night, late in the fall, Jack Frost came over the hill. He spied the cradle swinging to and from, and began to play roughly with it. For he is roguish, a little fellow, and touches everything that comes in his way. But the warm blanket hid the little slipper so that Jack could not find her. By and by, King Winter came bringing beautiful snow blankets to Mother Nature's flowers' babies. He gently rocked the cradle as he passed and whispered, "Sleep, baby, sleep. You have no need on my blanket." At last spring came with the sunbeams and the best memories of Mother Nature's helpers. They awoke the flowers from their long winter nap and called the birds and the brooks to begin their song. When they came to the little brown cradle, they stopped to rest, and Baby Caterpillar began. It get very warm under the thick blanket. So she woke up and stretched herself, and her cradle broke. And she came out the great spring. But what a change! Instead of the old dingy dress that she went to sleep in, she now had a beautiful yellow one, and instead of crawling among the leaves, and she flew up and away into the sweet spring air to play with the sunbeams and flowers. And the little children called her a butterfly. Part 2. Complete the dialogue. So Meg, you're talking about being in the military, and you said you were a medic. Can you explain me what that is? Yeah, so I'm a medic, which now I believe is called healthcare specialist. Is I always say it's kind of similar to being like a paramedic, where it's not a full nurse job. I think nurses have more training like in a civilian side nurses, but similar to paramedic, where you have certain like minor procedures that you're trying to do and high level things than just an EMT, like doing force and giving shot and stages and things like that. And you're trained because it's the military. You're especially trained for emergency situation and how to treat someone who has maybe some serious life-threatening wounds. So that's medic. Wow, that sounds like a really difficult job. I mean, it's not your typical just shoulder job. You must have had a lot of schooling and education. I had well. Everyone goes through the initial about 2.5 months like basic training, and that's more kind of basic combat skill and physical training, that kind of thing. And then I had 4 months pass that to train to be a medic. So we went through like emergency medical technician course, just like civilian side. I got certified with that, and then we had additional training for the military skill like force and emergency procedure, that kind of thing. Right? Can you explain me what for is? For is an intravenous, like getting fluids into your body. So if you have been injured and you have loss of a lot of blood, or maybe you have dehydrated and you need some fluid in your body quickly, then we stick a needle into your vein and then you fluid go in. The needle comes back out, but a little tube stay in. Then you can get fluids quickly that way. So anybody that's been the doctor know that's always kind of the anxious moment when the nurse of or the person who's going to stick the needle in. Where are you good doing it? Sorry. Were you good at doing that? So once I learned how to do it, I think I was pretty good, and I actually over enjoy doing it. Not in the creepy way, but it was, I guess, because I was decent at it, that it was a part of my job that I enjoy. But for myself, before we went through that training, I actually became dehydrated and needed to get on for myself. And I was terrified because I really hadn't had that before in my life. And so the nurse was going to come, put the needle in my arm, and I was like, no, isn't there another? I'll just drink a lot of water. And she was saying, aren't you going to be a medic? And I was like, oh, I haven't trained yet. Don't do it. So yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was recently in the hospital that they have me strapped up for both blood and for the water, the intravenous drip. And it's annoying because you can't really move. Like if you want to get up and walk anywhere, you strap with all this stuff. And it's not very convenient. Yeah, or at least you have to be careful. When I was getting the 4, I didn't know that the needle doesn't stay in your arm. Now, for something it does for blood. Maybe it's different. I'm not sure, but yeah, also trying to be so careful too. But you still want it to go well, so you don't want to move very much. Right. So what percentage of people would you say freak out when they get the needle in? Probably like 90% or 95%. Oh really? Yeah. Even though your guys would come in and they'd be like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine I'm fine in a bit. Well, we need to give you an Vivor, and they'd be like, oh, right, yeah, nobody likes that. No. So you transitioned, you were in a medical profession, and then you moved to education. Why did you leave the medical profession for education? Yeah, that's interesting because I became a medic in the military because I thought that after when I could continue college, that I would be a nurse or a doctor. But my time serving as a medic helped me learn that was not what I wanted to do for my career after all. So I definitely am glad that I had those skills and the things that I learned and was able to experience. But English had kind of been on the back burner. So then I said, okay, let me revisit this, and it led to English education. Wow. How have you ever thought about being like an English specialist for people in the medical fields, like teaching doctors or nurses? I guess I haven't thought about the specifically. Sometimes I thought about going back to military. They do have something like English school in the military, and so I guess that would be related. Also, it could be, yeah. So that would be interesting. Something to think about it. Part 3. Answer the question correctly through the audio. First, what kind of home would he want to have? He don't normally dreams of like an enormous mansion or anything. He guessed almost more importantly for his to have some land with the house he wouldn't want his neighbor to be. he liked to have a little bit of space. Number 2, what would he like to live near? He really liked the landscape there, Alabama. It's kind of hilly and a lot of trees and a lot of pine trees. It's deciduous area of America and lots of lakes. Number 3, what did they talk about? His dream home, kind of house with his half or Mark's home in the world. Number 4, what does he want in his ideal house? Big bathroom, big kitchen. Also, he had like to have one room that was his room. Maybe he could put a small library and a lot of books and maybe a pool table. Number 5, retell about the conversation with your own word, giving the detailed information. This is about a man's dream house who want a private room for his own work, and he prefer about a garden view or like hilly view that there's a lot of trees